This podcast is growing like wildfire. We are getting hundreds of views per episode, some even over 1,000, which is amazing, especially when I was excited to get 10 views per episode when I started. Today, we have Michael Bradshaw. And the reason why the podcast is so big, because we've got hitters like this coming on that I get to interview. Michael Bradshaw won the BodyShop Business Executive of the Year award. So exciting. And so we're talking to him today as a shop owner, and he's giving us some incredible tips for you shops out there. Tips on how to personally invest in your people. Some things that maybe you hadn't thought about before. We're talking about how he moved away from the DRP model and how to lessen the fights with insurance companies. We're also talking about SCRS. He's on the board there and talking about some great things that SCRS is doing, the Society of Collision Repair Specialists, that, of course, you independent shop owners could take advantage of. Amazing, amazing stuff. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Body Bangin', your podcast for all things body. Auto body, that is. And now, introducing Body Bangin's host, Mickey Woods of Mickey Woods Marketing. Mickey is a former auto collision center owner and is now a marketing and business development expert to shops across the globe.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Body Bangin' Podcast. I'm excited because I interviewed this special someone what feels like forever ago. I think it was last year. At the Southeast Collision Conference, I had Michael Bradshaw on with K&M Collision, and he is back today. Hello, Michael.
Hey, how are you?
Good. So we did a little mini interview when you were at the conference. You were one of the speakers there. Will you be speaking again this year?
Yes, I submitted some curriculum and will be speaking again. It's actually going to be in Virginia this year.
Right.
It's coming up really soon. So,
yeah, they're letting you back. All right.
Yeah, they must have done something right.
Yeah, I guess
they couldn't find anybody else, right? One of the two.
Right. Well, and I don't know if you all know listening, but Michael with K&M Collision, I'll show this here if you're watching on YouTube. He was named the Executive of the Year by BodyShop Business Magazine for, what is it, like the small independent shop. You have a single location, right?
Independent, yeah, single location, yes.
Yeah, so that was really awesome. Did you expect to get that?
Yeah, no, it was quite a surprise, and it was a really neat deal because we got to have the family out and kind of, talk about the employees and the family and everybody that's kind of contributed to the journey. So it's a pretty special thing.
Yeah. I know. When I saw that you got it, I was like, Michael, I know him. Yeah.
No, we were very
awesome.
humbled to have received it. So it is a really special thing.
Yes, for sure. So we're going to jump into it today because K&M Collision, a lot of people know about K&M Collision, and if you don't, that's totally fine. They're in Hickory, North Carolina, with single location.
Right.
In sales, do you mind sharing like what you're doing so people kind of can grasp?
We're doing roughly $12 million a year right now, and
that's great.
And, yeah, we're getting ready to expand again, so we're looking to kind of up that, hopefully get to about 15 million a year in the next year and a half is our goal.
Awesome. Very cool. So one thing about Michael, so Michael's got a great team there. It's him and his brother mainly that are running it. So you and Kyle.
Yes, ma'am.
So they're running it and they are extremely successful. And when I say successful, it's not like, oh, we've got so many cars in the drive. You guys are genuinely profitable. And a lot of people don't know the difference. And we're not going to take the time today to get into all that. But they're doing it right. And we're going to get into the fact that they are non-DRP. We'll get into all of that kind of stuff. But first, we wanted to start out with Michael and I talked, and he brought up something really important. That people today in general and body shop owners, we've got a lot of shops that are like, yeah, I want that. I want to have whatever success is. I want to be like K&M. I want to have this multi-million-dollar shop. I want to do all the things and have all the things. But they didn't just arrive there? It was, I'm
Right.
sure, a tough road. And when you
Yeah.
started, Michael, what was the size of your shop? What was the culture of your shop then?
Yeah. So when I started, there were 3 employees, including me and my father. So
Oh, wow.
essentially one
Yeah.
other person. And we were doing less than $1 million a year.
Right. Right.
And to bring that for full circle and now be doing $1 million a month.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people miss that. I mean, it was a grind, and
Mhm.
it's still a grind, right? And
Yeah.
I think you don't really ever want to feel like you've accomplished what you set out to accomplish or you've arrived.
Mhm.
You want to continue to be hungry to grow and learn and invest. And I think
Yeah.
I think that's something that we've been really fortunate in, is that we've invested in our people and
Mm.
we've encouraged them to grow not only professionally but personally as well.
Yeah.
And I just think that sometimes people don't understand the commitment that it takes, on a business owner or even a manager, um, to really get to that level where things are happening and they're being done properly and they're being done efficiently. Like it takes a lot of attention
Mhm.
a lot of hours, and it's not something that happens overnight.
Right. Well, I would imagine, like, when you talk about, growing your team and like developing your team, there's a lot of, it's not just these are the procedures and I'm going to watch over
Right.
you and make sure that's
Mhm.
done. And I think that's what a lot of people think running a business
Right.
looks like. So
Right.
what do you feel like that you guys are doing or did or are still doing differently there?
Well, I think, first and foremost, I think what we do and everybody does it in different ways on different levels, but you know, one of our principles here is to invest and help our employees to prosper, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
we want them to prosper as individuals. And
Right.
so I think doing things that you can do that give back to them,
Mm.
that show that you care and that you want to encourage them to do better, I
Right.
think go a long way, right?
Yeah.
Rather than just treating them like somebody that's following a system. And so some of
Mhm.
the things that, we've done here more recently, we've implemented a 4-day work week. And
Mm.
so our guys now have a 3-day weekend
Wow.
every week. And, that's just one of the ways that we reinvest in them because, time is the most precious asset any of us have, right? And
Right.
so giving them more time with their families is something that I think makes a significant impact on their quality of life. And they're much more willing to go above and beyond, for us to
Right.
ensure that they're doing what they need to do. And again, that's just one example, but
Mhm.
I think that business owners struggle to see ways that they can help their employees improve their lives on a personal level versus just trying to make them better as technicians.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
and so those are the type of things we've done. Financial wellness courses, right? Like
Mm.
everybody,
Mm.
every individual struggles with money at some point, and
That's right.
it's typical, I've been there. We don't understand how to budget. We're not taught those things in school, and
Yes.
so investing and teaching them and providing them tools and resources where they can learn about
Mm.
retirement planning and budgeting and things like that, that make them more financially stable
That's
as
so cool.
families. Yeah, so I mean that's what we've done, and that kind of, I think that motivates the employees to, when they're here, want to do good for you, right?
Right.
We've all dealt with situations where you may have an employee that takes advantage,
Yeah.
right? That's always going to happen, but
Yeah.
I think they're less prone to want to do that because we're kind of in this together, right?
Right. You bought into
If
them.
Yeah, if they
Yeah.
succeed, we succeed.
Right. Right.
And so it's kind of, that's one part of it, and then the other thing, established a culture here of learning and continuous improvement.
Mm.
um
Mhm.
we The processes we have are not necessarily set in stone. We want to follow the processes that we have in place, but
Mhm.
if employees see an opportunity to improve the process, right,
Mhm.
it's an open door policy. We can
Nice.
talk about that as a group, and we really, we just motivate our entire staff to function as a team, and
Yeah.
like a sports team would, right? We're all
Right.
working towards one goal, which is ultimately to repair the vehicles correctly, and that's what drives the sales dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And so we give them a scoreboard, we monitor that, we let them know where they're at as a team,
Mm-hmm.
and we just encourage them to continue to work and motivate and support each other as a team.
That's really cool. So are you having like weekly, daily meetings with your team? What does that look
Yes.
like?
So we have two meetings. We have a morning meeting and an afternoon meeting.
Okay.
And at that meeting, it's as a team, so we can discuss where everything is,
Mm-hmm.
within the repair process.
Mm-hmm.
That way, everybody in the shop kind of knows what's going on. The detail
Right.
department has a sense of what vehicles they're going to be seeing. The paint
Mm-hmm.
department knows kind of what's coming to them.
Right.
The technicians know what's coming out of paint.
Right.
And that's been a really big help.
Yeah.
And just trying to, plan the day. And I think communication is half the battle in our
Yeah.
business, right? And
Totally.
so much of when things go wrong can ultimately be from a breakdown in communication. And so we
Yeah.
really try to encourage, we almost want more communication than is necessary sometimes.
Yeah,
But
that's good thing though.
yeah, and the unique thing that we do, so our technicians, we don't buy into the flat rate
Mm,
or any of that. Our technicians are paid by the clock hour,
okay.
but they have a bonus that they can work towards as a team, and
Oh, I like that.
it's right. It's a monthly bonus, and as we have these meetings, we discuss, where we're at with deliverables and kind of where they're at in relation to their bonus at
I
the end of
like
the
that.
month. And again, just a lot of personal accountability and
Mm,
responsibility, amongst the
hmm.
team, because they're the ones that are driving the bus. We
Right.
really preach personal accountability here.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're actually gamifying it. There's a lot of,
Yeah,
in marketing, we talk about, well, you should gamify something. You're like, what does that even mean? But when you put up numbers and you have a set goal, it
right,
allows everybody to although we wouldn't call it like a game, but like you said,
right.
it's like a sports team and we
Yeah,
want to get that win. And so then
yeah,
how are we collectively going to do that to get there? And
absolutely.
and what's so important that you said too that I think so many shops forget about is oftentimes there's a breakdown between like the guys in the back and then the customer up in the front. And they forget why they're doing what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Do you?
Yeah.
And I would. What are
It
you
is.
doing about that?
So that again, that is, and that's something we talk about a lot is
Mm,
just, you know, we're not perfect, right? We miss the
right.
mark.
Right.
Everybody misses the mark, and
Yeah.
having accountability when you miss that mark.
Yeah.
But we really try to put it in a lens from a customer perspective, right?
Yes.
Like if their vehicle was here for X number of days and they waited, this long for us to perform the repairs, and then we repaired it, and maybe we missed a scratch that was on the mirror cap, or
Right.
something small like that.
Mhm.
It just kind of put it to them as like, so if you're a customer and you don't know this business, and you're coming to pick up your car, how do you feel in that situation?
Yeah.
Right, you've already been without your car. So
Exactly.
I think they appreciate that. They really do. And
Hmm.
I really have a lot of confidence that every one of the guys that we have here, and girls,
Hmm.
want to do the best job that they absolutely can to make
Right.
sure that customers are satisfied.
Yeah. Well, I love the concept of communication. I think that what we need to get away from as an industry is, oh, it's 8 a.m., 7 a.m., whatever. You get here, you go do your work, and we don't talk.
Right.
There might be like a production manager that circles around, and then he goes and talks to other people potentially. Like,
Right.
gone are those days of everybody's like in silos working. It
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
it doesn't appear to me, and I work with a lot of shops, that that's really what's best. And like what you're talking about, having 2 meetings a day, everybody's going to be on the same
Right.
page.
And they're about 5-minute meetings, and
Right.
it gives the guys an opportunity to take a little break if they need to grab a drink or a snack or
Right.
something, and then we run through the meeting. And I think the other unique thing too is, so I've got an opportunity to go in a lot of shops,
Hmm.
and I think a lot of shop owners are really disconnected from the things that are actually going on on the shop floor.
Isn't
right?
that true? Yes.
So I'm out in the shop. I've got a mobile cart. I spend 90% of my time out there with the guys,
Right.
because I want to be invested in what they're doing. I want to be a part of that. And I think that's one of the things that's really contributed to our success and our ability to continue to improve is that I'm extremely hands-on in that aspect. And so, I know the issues and appreciate the issues that the technicians are having to deal with.
Yeah.
And it allows me to kind of look at it from a perspective of, okay, so this is the struggle and this is why. How can I help to fix that? Right. And that's, something of I guess a fixer here, you could say. I like to solve problems and make things better, easier, whatever you want to say. So
right. Yeah, I see the same thing. And oftentimes, kind of in conjunction with what you're saying, a shop owner only has one person reporting to him. So that report can be very skewed based off of what that GM or whoever the position is, whatever they're saying. And so then that can get tricky too, because does the owner really know what's going on? And I understand the goal of an owner oftentimes is to eventually pull up and out. But at the same time, I think more owners need to get out there and cruise around, participate, talk, look. Don't just hear about the issues. Go look and see what's going on. Where's that bottleneck happening? So I'm in total agreement with you. Yeah, I see that a lot.
And it's hard too, I think, because and again, I understand as you reach a certain size and as an organization, those things become, more difficult. But if you're not showing your face and you're not interacting with those guys on a regular basis, right? What are they doing here? Who are they really working for?
Right.
Why would they go the extra mile if you can't take time out of your day? And that's the one. I think people just got to care about, their staff. I really love each one of the guys and girls we have here. And I want to invest in them. And I think that's really, people need to find, the compassion for the people they have working for them and
Amen,
ask
brother.
what they can do to help, their people versus just demanding, I need this and this and this so I can grow my business. So,
yeah. And I was thinking about that when you were saying like what you can do to set up each person for success. And I'm sure you have personal conversations and know each person on their staff so that you can, because every person's going to have different individual
different goals. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's really important too. So you mentioned something that I want to touch on. we could probably do like a 3-part thing here, especially with me and all my questions. You mentioned the 4-day-a-week thing. You got to know I'm going to ask about this. So
yes, that's the best thing.
Okay, tell me. Just tell me about it. I've heard of people doing it.
So I will tell you, we've been doing it for 9 or 10 months now.
Okay.
Had our first month we moved to it, had our biggest sales month ever.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they have been very consistent with what we've been able to do. And, the thing that we've done, we have kind of a porter/detailer that works a normal schedule because that's what worked better for him. And it allows us to have somebody out there to, receive parts. So I think there are one or two individuals that maybe you can stagger, maybe those guys have Monday off and work Friday. I think that's important. And then our CSR reps, they're on a rotation because we will still deliver vehicles on Friday. They're still here to write estimates and greet customers.
Right.
But I think just from, and even my perspective, it's allowed me to work from home on Friday and spend more time, with either my younger children or like it's given me and my wife an opportunity to go do things together while the kids are at school that, we wouldn't have had a chance to do. And, I just think that as an individual, when you have Friday off, you can get things that you would normally have to take off of work to get done.
True.
Done in your free time. And it gives them a chance to actually recharge. Because if when we work 5 days a week, you've got ball games or whatever else going on Saturday. Maybe you got church on Sunday, or you're doing things around the house, and then then it's time to go back to work, and you didn't really get a chance to rest and recharge. And so I think that was really our ultimate goal. In doing that, is giving the guys a chance to really have a break and take a breath. And so they're working, we work 4 10s essentially.
Okay.
So
you knew that was my next question.
Days.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're working right now 7 to 6.
Okay.
I will say it's a little more difficult. I won't really say difficult, but in the wintertime with daylight savings time and it's dark when you walk out of here, that's a little bit of a drag. But other than that, it works out great in the summer months, and then we still always have our Fridays. So
your office is open Monday through Friday, so that you're able to take vehicles in, people can drop off, that type of thing. Now, are the estimators working as well, so people can get an estimate? Or are you rotating them too?
So our CSRs, they can do really basic visual estimates.
Okay.
We really don't do a lot of. We're not really
incomplete.
in favor of, we're not in favor of the estimating process. We much prefer to sell a customer on 100% disassembly, and schedule them. We will give a really basic estimate to start a claims process. So,
Okay. So for people listening, I want them to be able to wrap their brain around this to see if this is something that they could do. So the office basically is going to be open 5 days a week. Your techs and painters and, those types of, well, for the most part, pretty much everybody is Monday through Thursday, except you've got a couple like CSR lot porters that would rotate like the Tuesday through Friday versus the Monday through Thursday. That way you've got that Friday covered.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
and that's how, because then you figure the 2 extra hours, if we do the math, if they're working 2 extra hours a day, for 4 days, that's 8 hours. So that's basically makes up for your Friday.
Right.
So they're almost working the same amount of hours, doing it in a shorter amount of time.
Exactly. And this is, this wasn't a decision that I made. Again, we really team environment here. It was something that I proposed. They voted on, overwhelming majority, we're all for it. And the stuff that it kind of cuts out, most of your larger cities, your tech's commute is 45 minutes to an hour and a half.
True.
They're doing that, each way. So we were able to cut out, the majority of our techs were able to cut out an hour and a half to 2 hours of travel time that they spent, on the road in that one day.
Right.
And then, regardless of what kind of environment you build and how productive everybody is within that environment, there are times we're not working, right? We're socializing, we're checking Facebook or watching, the Body Banging podcast while we're waiting on something else to do, and so it's just an opportunity to kind of cut some of that out. And, I think it's worked great. And the one thing I would tell people, that we just encourage the guys, we're here 4 days a week. Right. So if there's something that you need to handle, if it's getting your hair cut or going to the bank or going to the, whatever it may be, let's try to make a commitment to the team to, if at all possible, handle that, on our day off. And again, the other thing that I've seen, so we will pay out PTO. We don't, if they don't use it, we'll pay it out. We've seen a significant reduction in PTO requests because now they have that 3-day week, or maybe they want to take a trip, quick trip somewhere. They're just off on Thursday. They'll put in a PTO request for Thursday. Now they've got 4 days, go do what they want. So
that's a good point.
I just think there's a lot of incentives, and myself personally, I'm a grinder. I enjoy working. There was a time I was working 70-80 hours a week, and you certainly appreciate where I'm coming from with that. But the younger generation, and I'm kind of on that line, of being a millennial, they really value their time, and they want to work their 40 hours, and they want to go do what they want to do. And so if you can do things to provide that work-life balance, I think that is what is going to set collision shops apart
Mm-hmm.
in the competitive,
Yes,
workforce environment that we have right now.
totally.
And I think that's kind of what we've done is look at ways where we can. I just want to be different.
Yeah,
I hate doing things because that's the way people do them, right? And
totally.
and
Right.
and so I'm always
Yeah.
looking for something out of the box to try,
Mhm.
and it doesn't always work out, but when it
Yeah.
does, it's
Yeah.
rewarding.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to interrupt this podcast for just one quick second because a lot of people wonder, Mickey, what is it that you even do besides host a podcast? Well, I do marketing, and really the biggest thing that I do is help you drive more traffic to your business. And not even just more traffic, but consistent traffic to your business. As a former shop owner, I know how important that is. So if that's something you're interested in, or you just want to talk about marketing or developing your business in general, feel free to reach out. You can visit collisioncentermarketing.com. There's a calendar on there, and you can just book a time that works for you, and we'll set up a phone call. Or you can email or call me, and my notes are down in the description of this episode. But I hope to hear from you. I'd love to help you build your business. But in the meantime, you better get back to this podcast because it's really good. Well, one thing that I did want to talk about is, and you talked about a little bit, how you guys don't really do a whole lot of estimating. And
Right.
we won't spend a ton of time on it, although I know everybody wants to talk about this for weeks and on end. Is the fact of dealing with insurance companies and being DRP. And so I
Mhm.
get calls all week long of shop owners, independent shop owners that are like just getting beat down by the insurance
Mhm.
companies, and they're exhausted by it. And they're just like, they're calling me like for help. Like, what do I do? And they feel like they're the only ones.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys used to have DRPs, or do you have any right now?
We have one with a boutique carrier
Yes.
that
Okay.
only really they insure high net worth individuals, and it's
Right.
more of a referral agreement than I would
Yes.
say a DRP agreement.
Right.
In the past, we were on one DRP briefly,
Mhm.
and so when I first kind of came into the business, again, I grew up around the business, but really starting to learn
Mhm.
how the business worked and things like that. I was going to Refinish Company 20 group meetings, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this was in the heyday of the DRP, and it was
Yes.
like, if you get on a DRP, it's so great. And
Yeah.
I didn't know any better, right?
Right.
So we got on a DRP, and we're on it a couple months, and a re-inspector came out and basically proceeded to tell us that we couldn't repair cars to the same level on the DRP program as we did when we weren't. And
Right.
that just, I've never been about that. And my dad's
Mhm.
always been really great and in instilling the attitude of doing things the right way.
Right.
And so that kind of very quickly turned me off to
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
And I think picking up from that, it was really the OEM programs,
Right.
which in turn led to the fights and the difficulties with the carriers and things like
Yes.
that. So, what I would tell people, I've been really fortunate to learn from a lot of great guys in the
Mhm.
industry, and surround myself with a ton of great mentors. But for so long, I didn't know those individuals, and I was just a sponge, right?
Yeah.
So reading anything you can get your hands on, in
Mhm.
relation to what's going on with the industry, try to understand the issues that are global and
Mhm.
understand what other shops are doing to combat those issues. And the other thing that I think kind of gave us a little bit of a unique advantage is I had have a great friend who was an attorney, and
Mm.
he kind of helped point me in the direction. He said, "Well, look, you really need to know what the laws are, right? You need to
Yes.
familiarize yourself." And so I became a student.
Mm.
I understood what the regulations were. I understand what was required of the insurance companies and kind of what their roles and responsibilities were. And
Mhm.
still to this day, there is so many times where a carrier will say something that is not rooted in reality, right? It's
Right.
not the way it works. There are specific codes or regulations that prohibit them from doing exactly what they're
Mhm.
telling you they're going to do.
Yes.
And I think many shops just are unaware.
Yes.
they don't have the knowledge and they don't know how to combat it.
Right.
And so I think that would be the biggest piece of advice I could give somebody is first and foremost, understand the policy language for the carriers that you're dealing with,
Right.
understand what the rules and regulations are, and then be ethical and be trustworthy.
Yeah.
So when I first, when we first went down the road, we had an ultra high-end certification that there wasn't anybody in 4 states that had, and they wouldn't pay me $1 an hour. They wouldn't pay me a nickel more to work on those type of cars than they would, Joe Blow down the street.
Right.
And it was a lot of persistence and a lot of showing them I'm doing what I'm telling you I'm doing, and building the trust and the relationship.
Right.
So there was that, and there was also, there was some litigation involved. We sued several carriers, and I think if you're diligent and you really have a plan and you understand how to execute that plan, that is first and foremost.
Yeah.
And after we had some success with the litigation side, it was there were a couple lawsuits that were successful. A lot of other carriers decided that they just didn't want any part of that, right? Because they knew ultimately they were operating under the same regulations and guidelines that the other carriers were.
Right.
And if they were going to do the same thing, they were going to be met with kind of the same
right.
result. And,
right.
So it kind of, I would say it was, there were phases, right? I went from not being respected and nobody believing what I was saying to being the hard ass that nobody wanted to deal with. And now I'm kind of, as I've gotten older, now I'm kind of at this phase where they respect that what I'm saying, carries some weight.
Right.
And that as a shop, they know they're in and out of here so much. They just know that it's different.
Yeah.
Right. They know that the things we're doing, while they're not seeing them in other places, they know it's because other people aren't going to the lengths and the level that we're going.
And when you say they, you're talking about the insurance companies.
The carriers, the carriers, the appraisers, the staff, people. Just to give you an example of that, when last year with inflationary pressures and everything that was going on, we made a decision to give the staff a pay increase across the board to help offset inflation on their end. And, as a business, we have to react and adjust to that as well. And one of the carriers that we've had a pretty decent relationship with in the past really kind of balked at the rate increase. And we haven't had a rate increase of any significance in probably 3.5 or 4 years. And so I invited him to the shop. This was the regional manager. And he came out and spent half a day at the shop. And, we sat in the office. And one of the things he said is, there are people out there that profess to be like you guys when they charge for things. He said, and I've been in those shops, and, my staff has been in those shops, but I can promise you, nobody's doing it like you guys are doing it. And we'll work this out. And so again, I just think it's so hard because people want to build for more, and they want to get paid more.
Yeah.
But so many of them will put something on the estimate that is not necessarily malicious, but that a tech won't follow through with performing. Right. And then those staff appraisers are in and out, and they pick up on that. And it just kind of builds this level of distrust.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, again, I don't think it's rocket science. It's just being committed to doing the right thing and instilling that desire, in your staff, and having measures in place to ensure that it's being done. I know that's kind of a long-winded answer to that question.
No, I think it's great information, and I could ask you so many more questions on it based off of all the questions I get, and it's always interesting. And oftentimes, when I'm talking to shop owners like yourself, you guys oftentimes are saying very similar things, and it's be ethical, be known that your word is truth. And, your word is your word, and people can take you at that, whether it be a guest or a carrier or an employee. Super important. So I think that is a number one. And one thing that I know I'm going to get beat up if I don't ask you, is how then do you handle it when the insurance company doesn't pay and there's an amount owed? Are you typically, I know that you talk to people about the appraisal clause and you probably prep them before they even drop off.
So yeah, we kind of one of three things. If it's a third party carrier they're dealing with that won't pay it, we'll advise them of their right to file under their policy, and then their carrier will go through subrogation.
Right.
Certainly the appraisal clause, we do explain that they can simply pay the difference if they want to. And we also will give customers, documentation. And we found that, them calling the claims department or calling their agent, directly and explaining, hey, my car is whatever. It could be an Audi and it had to be repaired at an Audi certified shop or a Porsche, whatever it is. I think the biggest thing that shops can do to combat that situation is to educate and empower your customers.
Yes.
Because their voice is always going to be the most important to anybody outside of this environment. And
absolutely.
So helping to educate and empower them.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think as we've done that, I think the issues of payment have become far more infrequent because of everything we've done.
Right.
And the one thing I would say, shops, that I would advise, that again, it's something I see when I go into most shops, is so our normal work file will have between 175 to 200 photographs of the repair process, right?
Wow.
And so like that, again, that's just something to help build, some confidence when you can send a carrier, hey, here's 200 photos. This is the entire repair process.
Right.
Everything I'm asking you to pay for has been documented here. Again, it builds a level of trust, and it makes things a little easier, but it also helps when you're talking to the customer, right? If there's a carrier, for instance, that won't pay to tint, to tint the color on the vehicle, and you've got a photograph with 4 or 5 or 6 spray out cards where it's been performed, and you explain to them why you have to do it.
Right.
Now they can go back, with some sort of, educated vocabulary and ask their carriers like, well, hey, the shop did it. This is why they got to do it. Their own paint company says they has to do it. Why wouldn't you pay for it?
Right. So,
so
you're empowering, first and foremost, you're educating yourself. And by educating, and not just yourself, but your people, educating your people, and then educating your guests so that they can empower themselves to help you, basically, help them do what they got to do, help you do what you have to do. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. I won't keep asking you more questions about that. And at least now I won't get hate mail. We wanted to know more. So before we totally wrap up, one super cool thing that you're involved in is SCRS, so Society of Collision Repair Specialists. And it's something that I see what you guys are doing, and I'm like, I want to get more involved in this personally, because it's such a help to the industry. And the people like yourself that are involved in SCRS are really passionate people in the industry, which says a lot about, I don't know if you call it like organization, about the organization. So, and you guys at SCRS have been doing a lot of just incredible things.
Yeah. So I've been really fortunate to be a member on the board for, I think, 7 years now. We're going on 7 years. And just a great group of family, we consider each other family. A lot of shop owners. There are some representatives of the industry as well. And like you said, people that really care about doing the right thing for the industry and making everybody's lives better within the industry, right? The technicians, the shop owners, and ultimately the customers that have to have their vehicles repaired. So some of the cool things that we've been doing, I know a lot of people have heard about the blend study, probably. I got the opportunity to kind of be there and participate in that and witness that happen. Yeah. So that was really neat. We're working really hard behind the scenes to, have meetings with the information providers to get some movement, out of them to try to recognize that, hey, blending is certainly not 50%. And it's not gonna cut it anymore.
Right.
We've had enough, right? So that's something that's been really cool. Another thing that we've participated in as a company recently is the healthcare.
Yes.
We launched our healthcare initiative last year. Businesses are seeing on average a savings of about 15%. For us, we saved close to $20,000
Wow.
as to what it was costing us. But more importantly, we were able to provide our employees coverage that is unlike anything else that's out there.
Wow.
It's something that I use with my family as well. And I've had several, physicians make comments about how great the coverage is. And there's so much with the coverage that's zero out of pocket expense. It's just, again,
Wow.
if you're a shop owner and you don't have a healthcare plan, or if you do have a healthcare plan, we can certainly save you money, but more importantly, we can provide you with great coverage.
Yeah. And what's crazy to me is so many shops still to this day don't have health insurance for their people. They don't provide it. And it's something that people in general want to have when they go work for somebody, because it's a lot of money out of pocket. Yeah. So when we talk about like attracting talent to our industry, this is something that's big. I mean, they polled like the public in general, and that's something that people want when they're looking for a job. But yet here we are in the industry, and like the percentage of shops that are providing health insurance has gone up. It's better, but it's certainly not, as prevalent as it should be. So I'm going to put a link to basically how they can go about pursuing that if they're interested in their shop.
Yeah, I think it's SCRS.com/healthcare, but I'll provide you the link.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, before the healthcare, we launched a 401k initiative.
Yes.
And that's also been a big cost savings thing.
Yes.
For the shop owners, but also for the technicians. So, we all get hit with the maintenance fees, for our 401k plans.
Yes.
By pulling all of our resources together in the way that we have, we've significantly reduced the fees. So, as an individual contributing to that plan, the reduction in fee basically allows your money to grow at a greater rate over time. So again, it's just, it really goes hand in hand with, what our kind of philosophy is as a company, really trying to empower and give back to your employees and improve their lives and make them better. And those are two great programs that, again, it allows a shop like us, that's an independent or a shop smaller than ours to offer benefits that I truly believe exceed what, the larger MSOs in the industry are able to offer right now. So it's a great competitive advantage if you're looking to attract, new employees.
And far better than the amount that they'd have to pay individually.
Oh yeah.
If my God, if they were to go buy these plans.
We had an employee who switched right before, or an amount of time before they had a baby. His wife was pregnant.
Yeah.
And it saved them several thousands of dollars in what their out of pocket was going to be above and beyond what the insurance would cover. So again, it's
That's
just
awesome.
Win-win all the way around.
Yeah. So SCRS, I know I follow you guys on Facebook, and I often repost a lot of things that go on there as like big as events are happening. When the healthcare initiative came out, I shared it to my body banging group. I'm all about that kind of stuff. So I recommend people go follow the Facebook page. I don't know if you're on Instagram, but I know you're on Facebook because I follow you guys, and keep in touch. Now, if people are interested in joining SCRS, is that something that they would then how do you join? And then would they attend the meeting?
Yeah, they can go online to our website. There's a hyperlink, scrs.com. Once you go, there's a spot to join. And certainly we welcome new members, because in order to participate in any of the programs we have, like the 401k or the healthcare, you have to be a member.
Okay.
We have meetings every quarter. Our meetings basically coincide with CIC. They follow the same schedule that CIC does. So
Okay.
this coming April will be in Richmond, Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a great meeting to come to if you don't come to many meetings, because we're having SCRS that's followed by CIC, and then the big conference with all the education and everything is going on that Friday and Saturday in Richmond.
Right.
So it's a great week to kind of learn and invest in yourself, right?
Yes.
And your staff. So
definitely. Yeah, that's awesome. Now, what about shops that are unable to make the meetings? Is it like you have to be at each one? No, I know it's best if you are, right. But
yeah, I mean, I think so. We cover, we kind of cover what's going on and what work we're doing at the meetings. Mm-hmm. But a lot of that is also covered in Repair Driven News, which is our publication we run. It just it's like anything else. I think you were recently at CIC. Yeah. Being there, the value is being able to interact and ask questions and learn. And we certainly encourage any shop to come check out what we're doing and attend our meeting.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'll put the links to all that in the show notes here. And then if you guys have questions for Michael, like what they're doing at K&M or more about SCRS, I'll also put, is email best for you, Michael, for people to reach out? Okay. So I'll put Michael's email in there too. And thank you so much for coming on. Michael's a busy guy, and I'm glad to have been able to nail him down for a quick minute before he's off to his next thing.
I really appreciate you having me. I'd love to chat as always. I'm happy to come on anytime.
Yeah. And I actually finally got to meet him in person at CIC, which was awesome.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So congrats again on your award. Super deserving. So happy for you. You're doing awesome things. I'm so proud of you. It's so cool to watch you and your brother and everything you guys got going on over there. So super cool.
Yeah.
So
I make sure to remind him that he didn't win the award. That I did, but
as you should.
In all seriousness, he's doing a great job with the Carolinas Association. He's the president there, and he's been a tremendous help to me. I will say that. So I really appreciate
Kyle's awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. Thank you all for listening to this episode of Body Bangin'. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode when it drops. And until next time, we'll say goodbye and enjoy the rest of your day. See ya.
If you enjoyed today's show, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have some incredible topics and guests coming your way you will not want to miss. If you are watching on YouTube and don't want to miss the latest and greatest, you'll want to hit the bell after subscribing, so you will get a pop-up each time a video podcast goes live. To our devoted fans, would you mind paying it forward and sharing this little gem with someone else you think may benefit from it? Much love from all of us here at Body Bangin', all things auto body.